The ongoing war in Ukraine is posing immense challenges to farmers in the United Kingdom. It has triggered warnings that Britain is sleepwalking into a food supply crisis. John Bevir has more.
Farming is in Abby Reader's blood. Handed down through the generations, her livestock farm in Wales is her livelihood, her home and her passion. But things now are as hard as they've ever been. And as the local representative for the National Farmers Union, she's hearing similar stories from almost everyone else.
We don't really know where the energy price is going to go, where the fuel price is going to go, fertiliser. So do I want to breed the next cow for tomorrow? Because if I bred a cow today to produce one to give us milk for the future, that's a 3-year programme. I'm asking myself, can I afford the fertiliser this year? Probably I can't. It's going to be a cash flow issue. I'm going to be asking myself, can I afford to keep the number of animals that I've got, or do I need to downsize? So lots of questions.
71% of the UK is agricultural land. Countless local communities rely on a strong farming sector to survive. But farmers are starting to consider their role in the landscape. Herds and flocks are being reduced to cut costs in a bid to keep businesses going. There have already been shortages of eggs on the shelves. For growers, compounding their troubles is the lack of labour post-Brexit. In the worst cases, ripe fruit and vegetables have been left to rot, unpicked. Many farmers say that as prices have risen dramatically in the shops, what they receive has only gone up by a few percent. With more farmers downsizing or even winding up their businesses as a result, there are growing concerns over how the UK might feed itself in the future.
A government spokesperson told me that the UK's food supply chain is highly resilient and that strong domestic production is accompanied by imports through stable trade routes. But here in the fields, where the hard work is done, more and more farmers are quitting the industry. And if that trend continues, then the amount of food being imported will have to increase, which in turn will push prices up even further.
This online butcher is launching a new range promoting less popular cuts of meat, from those that require slow cooking to offal. Their management team argue that using every part of the animal is the best thing to do ethically, environmentally and economically. They also argue more adventurous Asian cuisine should be the inspiration.
We've got so much to learn from Asia. There's definitely some of the most sophisticated palates in the world there. You know, working through different textures and different flavours and seeing the quality of them, enjoying them. That's something we need to do. You know, so if we could make 2,000 more meals a week out of beef tendons in the UK, suddenly, you know, that's the same amount of animals going to slaughter. So everything's the same, except we're now taking something that would be exported or put into pet food contracts, something like that, and turning it into meals.
Addressing that so-called carcass imbalance would help those who produce meat. The ultimate aim is to sell every part of the animal at a good price, so nothing goes to waste. But across the industry, there are calls for urgent financial support from the government, as many struggle to balance the books. An enhanced payment scheme has just been announced to reward those farming in a nature-friendly, sustainable way, but many want a more coherent support system for the future.
Growing food is long-term. We can't just turn the taps on overnight. And a lot of these problems are going to take a few months or even years to come out in the system. And the one that frightens me the most as a farmer and as somebody representing the National Farmers Union is, even if we solved all of those problems today, a lot of them are already in motion. And we're going to be dealing with a fallout before we can get back on our feet. And that's really quite frightening.
With enhanced government support and UK consumers giving more thought to what they eat, farmers here are hoping that might just be enough to serve up a brighter future. John Bevir, CNA, near Cardiff.